All right, let's go ahead and get started. This is the watch list for the week of March 15th. I missed last week, and I guess I had good timing on missing the video for last week since we had some violent moves intraday, gap ups, gaps downs, fades, the likes. So you're looking at the Q chart here. For the past few videos, we've been talking about the 20-day moving average holding. It's been pretty much been holding this entire time the trend has happened. But I want to highlight two areas that are of concern. Or two areas of knowledge actually. So, first thing is this gap up back here. The gap that never filled, there was an attempt to fill it on this day, showed sign that there was strength within the Qs and overall demand in the sector. And so you see since then, the Qs have rallied as well as the broader market, SPYs, IWM, DIA. All the indices have rallied. Now, what we see here on Monday, February 22nd, is we see an open gap. That's pretty weak sign here that we never ended up filling that open gap. So who knows? Do we continue downwards, or do we find support in this area and move upwards? You can see in the beginning we were finding some support at this anchored VWAP level, and then we closed below it and subsequently faded. We had a nice flush on Friday, March 5th, that I think a lot of folks bought into. I bought into it myself. Faked out the following day, which was actually a pretty good sign. I was strong enough to hold some of my positions in this because actually they had relative strength compared to what the Qs were doing. As you can see with when I pull up the SPY, IWM, and DIA charts, just relative strength in those indices. So we found some support here, bounce back to the declining moving averages as well as this trend line. And now we'll wait and see what happens here. Do we kind of go sideways and then roll over? Do we break out from this level? I do have risk on. The stocks I'm in have relative strength. I've hit all-time highs in my P&L, and so I think the risk appetite exists out there for you to be long in this market, as long as you're sort of avoiding stocks that have relative weakness, which have been more related to the tech sector. So that's the Qs, SPY. I mean, is there anything to say besides an all-time high close on SPYs? Could that be any more bullish? Won't even talk about that. Great sign for SPY. IWM, all-time high close. Great sign. DIA, all-time high close. Great sign. Maybe you look at a pullback in all the indices, but I'm showing relative strength here. Very strong here. So let's go into some of the positions I have open. So QuantumScape and EV battery play. They're looking to finally release some information in regards to their technology behind their batteries. It's having a nice consolidation since this gap down. I know we just talked about gap down showing weakness, so I definitely am aware of that, but I do like how this is setting up. It was bought up when it dipped below this low. I do have just a starter position, so if it does go against me, I can exit pretty easily without worrying about it. That being said, as it starts to become more constructive, I will look to add, especially in these higher levels, maybe around 65, 70, if we can close in this range. I definitely will be adding. So keep an eye out for QS. Airbnb, another one I'm in. Loved the fact that it found support down at the 50-day moving average. I actually was kind of bummed out. I missed some breakout move here that I don't really see, and then I think we may have had earnings potentially. Um, but we're having a nice little consolidation IPO. Maybe we get a red day on Monday, and then bounce ahead and continue the uptrend here. I will say There's a lot of eyes on this. I'm going through my Twitter feed. A lot of folks are taking a look at it. So that could be a great sign that we pop out of these highs. Obviously, you don't want to use that as a justification, but just something I've noticed. So keep an eye out for Airbnb. Another one I'm in, SONO. This one kind of made me mad a while back. I was following this as an IPO base breakout, and clearly I missed it in this area. And I think this might have been an earnings gap up, but I mean we've had an insane move since then, and I think we closed at highs here. So keep an eye out for a red to green or trend continuation upwards. Wayfair. If we zoom out here, nice little bounce from COVID, not little bounce, 1300%. Have been consolidating ever since, and we're tightening up here. If I change this to black, might give you a better idea instead of this color. So we're tightening up here. We're starting to make higher lows. Maybe it needs one more little dip to the 20-day moving average, maybe, but keep an eye out for a close above 328 to go long, with maybe a risk down at 280. So $40 is pretty big risk, but you're looking for an all-time high move. So usually that can be a pretty big move up. PLL, we've talked about this multiple times, but two back-to-back inside days. It said it was supposed to have earnings on March 11th. I didn't touch it because of that, but now the updated date is March 24th. So looks like we have some new or some much needed time here. But yeah, keep an eye out for this on Monday. Double inside day, definitely important. I'm apps. I'm just sort of putting it out here. It's a high fly mover. I like it. It's gone up a big percentage wise, and I feel a bit uncomfortable here. But if it can consolidate maybe and hold the 20-day moving average, I'll keep an eye out for it. DT is the one I meant to hit. Similar pattern as apps, but not as volatile. And we've held the 20-day moving average for 2 periods. So if we can get a pivot above Friday's high, that will definitely get me long. AMC. So this is kind of interesting. Quick lesson, I guess. One of the things that I somehow totally missed is this massive dry volume in all the Reddit stocks. That didn't coincide with a further pullback. Should have been a good sign that folks weren't releasing their positions, diamond hands, whatever you want to call it. And now we're sort of bouncing up to all-time high, or VWAP anchored at all-time highs. Did it a few times and closed above. Really like that. So if I can get a red to green move here, I will have a pretty big position on this one. But I will put my stop loss under a pretty tight stop loss under these levels here. So um, I'll make sure to be following my risk management rules. And then just rolling through some quick ones here. NDAQ, we played this one. I think I made a video of this one. Played this nice breakout, now consolidating, coming back, looking to make new highs. Keep an eye out for that one. TLRY, looks like marijuana stocks might be back into play. Pulled back to the 15-day moving average, kind of going sideways here. So above 30.45 could be an area to keep an eye out for. Disney, I think that's a double inside day, if not a triple inside day. Nice gap holding here. Yeah, I mean above, you can use the high of Friday as a entry point with a low of Friday as a stop loss. So great looking chart. HUYA, I believe it's if I'm not mistaken, potentially a Chinese company here, but a nice IPO based breakout, came back down. Tapped. It hasn't had as much relative strength here, but if we can maybe get above these highs, or if you want to be a little bit more protective or risk averse, above a few days above the 20-day moving average, I will probably create a pretty decent sized position in this one if that happens. And then RVMD, sorry, I guess this is one I'm in actually. but is at the bottom of my watch list. Same situation here of holding the 20-day moving average. If we can get above, 48.15, I will add to my position here. It's already pretty sizable, but I'm liking the chart pattern here. So, anyways, overall, there's some weakness in tech and high beta tech, specifically Amazon still below this 200-day moving average, which is kind of shocking. Um, does it sort of bounce back and call this a little fake out, or does it actually roll over, which would be probably something that people have been looking for a very long time. But yeah, keep an eye out for some of these high beta names to give sort of direction for the Qs only, because as we see, everything else is at all-time highs. So that's all I had. Good luck trading.